Hey everyone, how you doing? So today what I have for you guys is a Uncharted discussion video where I'm gonna share my thoughts on mainly the first three games in the Uncharted video game series, and also a few thoughts on Uncharted 4. Only a few on that one because I haven't completed it yet. I'm only a few hours in, but I have completed the first three games, so I'm gonna share more detailed thoughts on those. So we're gonna start from the beginning with Drake's Fortune from 2007 PS3. um, so I think it would be good if I just went like my history with the series and what kind of compelled me to get into it, and then go into how that affected my first experience with the game. So um, I got into the series because over the year 2020, since everybody was inside, including myself, just stuck at home, I had a lot of free time on my hands most of the time, and a lot of that was just spent listening to music, which I grew a newfound appreciation for, and listening to music, watching movies, playing games, and just getting into new things like Kingdom Hearts. I got into that in 2020 just because I don't know if I would have if I wasn't stuck at home and just a lot of interesting things came out last year. Uncharted being one of them. So I also got interested in like the voice actors and motion capture actors themselves and their performances. Um, One of the voice actors and mocap actors, because he does both, being Nolan North, and I just um, found out a little more about that Deadpool game from like 2013, I think, and just the other times he voiced Deadpool in different games and stuff, and just really enjoying that. And then there was this really cool video called like The Best of Nolan North or something, part one. It was only part one, and it was like an hour and 35-minute video, and I watched the entire thing like more than once. Like I watched that like three times, like 3 days in a row, just ate nachos while I did every time and played Crash Bandicoot um, on my Switch in my room. And in that video, I'll try and link it in the description if I don't forget. He mentioned Uncharted like a lot. That was like the number one thing going on in that video. I mean, obviously it was about Nolan himself, so it wasn't necessarily tethered to Uncharted, but that was a thing that was brought up in the video a lot because it was just footage of him like from conventions or like live on Instagram or something. And at the conventions in particular, he mentioned Uncharted a lot and some fun experiences and stories that nobody had ever heard before. So um yeah, so that, just hearing about that kind of compelled me to go look up Uncharted, and I saw it and just listened to some of the music and saw some like the acting, and heard, or not heard, but saw people talk about it in the comment sections of the videos, and just saw how passionate people were about it, and just saw the game's bits and pieces itself themselves. And I was just in Valencia one day with my dad at the mall, and we went to GameStop, and I saw the Nathan Drake collection there, and I just asked him, hey, can we get this? And then we did, and then it was really, honestly, one of the main reasons I even did that was because of Nolan himself. Like, I just really love that guy. He's so awesome. He's such a nice guy. Like, if you haven't heard his speech when he won the Best Performance at the Game Awards 2016, you really need to go watch that. Like, that's he said some really nice things there. I'll put it that way. And yeah, so, and just seeing the footage itself, it looked like just some quality action games, and it was like really cheap. It was only like $15 where I got it, and for three games that everybody was really praising, I thought, okay, I've got nothing but time on my hands. I jumped in. If I can get into Kingdom Hearts, which I would have been so against the idea of doing a few years ago, because the anime is weird, and just I was a child then. So, but if I can do that, then I think I can do a normal guy that shoots people and climbs mountains and goes and finds treasures. That's more normal than an anime dude and Disney characters and more anime dudes from a different series. So, and then just playing the game, it just felt so weird for me at first, because I was, not only was it, well, it's for two main reasons. I'm just gonna go into the two main reasons. God, I can't speak. So the first one was that it's just like a third person, behind the back shooter, which I just was never into at all. They're like everywhere, but I just have never been interested in them, like Call of Duty, even though that's a first person. So I kind of didn't make the point right there. But it just never compelled me to. None of them ever compelled me to try and pick one of them up and play them. And they honestly kind of annoyed me for some reason. At least they used to. I don't know why, but it was just kind of surreal seeing how much I've changed, because I never would have played a game like this a few years ago. Not only because it's violent and I wouldn't have been allowed to. I barely was a few months ago when I first got the Nathan Drake collection, but it's just different from what I was used to put it simply. And then the other thing was that it's just one of those, just, I guess, iconic PS3 360 era games, and just the kind of same sense of it being so weird for me playing that, because I just had a Nintendo Wii. Then 2015 for Christmas I got a Wii U that year, and it was just odd. But just from the beginning, I was enjoying the witty writing and the characters, and Nolan especially, and Emily Rose as Elena, and all the jungle, it wasn't open world. None of them really are, like a Spider-Man or Breath of the Wild or anything, but the jungle areas and everything were really nice. And this was one of my first or third person, like one of my first shooters, so that was cool for me to finally be able to play one of those type of games and just get good at it. Kind of good. I'm pretty good at them now. But yeah, and then the story was fun, all the twists and turns, and just exploring the island. And by the end of the game, like with those zombie things you encounter, like that was so weird and unexpected. Obviously, spoiler alert. I'm sorry if I didn't say that earlier and if that bothered you, but spoiler alert. But yeah, just everything was just so much fun, except for, like, I say everything was so much fun, then I go and make a complaint. But the main issue I have with Uncharted 1 is, like, honestly, I don't have too many issues with it because I really just love it. But like, one segment of the game I really did not enjoy much at all was the little speedboat, little raft section. You're still on the island, but you're just in that little speedboat with Elena, and you're shooting guys and shooting explosive barrels, where if you run into the, or sail or something, whatever, into the barrels, then it's instant death. And the controls for that thing, that's the main issue. Like, it could be a well designed boating section, like at the beginning of Uncharted 4, for goodness sake. But I'm saying that, but it's the result of 9 years of developing the games and getting a handle on what they really wanted to do with them. But still, like, the speedboating section, the controls on that were just so bad. Like, if this was me a few years ago, I played through the entire Sonic and the Secret Rings game and loved my time with it. So if this was me a few years ago, I would have been saying, well, it's not that the controls are bad, it's just that I'm having trouble getting used to them. So I just need to get over that and practice, and then it'll be fine. And I guess that's not a terrible way to think. But you know, you just have to recognize that sometimes there are mistakes made that aren't on your part. They're just, poorly designed sections, and I think the speedboat was one of them. I still do like Sonic and the Secret Rings. Please don't judge me. But I yeah, just that is the one part of the game that I really did enjoy. But man, everything else just clicked with me. It was so much fun. Like, I remember the day the Sephiroth Smash Ultimate presentation that was being live streamed with Sakurai and everything. Was being live streamed that day. That was like a Thursday, a few months ago, and I was playing Uncharted right before that started, and then I watched a little bit of that, and then I had a music class, a guitar lesson, and I just watched the presentation again, like finished it. That was a good day. But yeah, it took me a while to finish, just because I was so nervous about even trying to play it around my family, because it was like the first time a game of this type. I had played a game of this type myself, but especially like if family just walked in to hang out, or my dad or my mom, and just seeing me shooting somebody and some PS3 blood just spouting out of them. I was nervous about that, so I just didn't play it that much, because everyone's at home now 90% of the time, 95 maybe. So I just want to play where I can be alone and put on headphones, or have the volume of the TV pretty loud, and just get immersed in the plot. And man, it was just so much fun. I really enjoyed it. And then I was so excited to get into the second game, and when I started the second game, my god, it was just a no-nonsense improvement overall. Like, just take what worked, which was, for me, most of the stuff, remove what didn't work, which was like the speedboat, and just take what worked and improve upon that. So just bigger action sequences and set pieces, like with the helicopter and wherever it was, like Hong Kong or India, that area, the like destroyed city that you go through with Chloe, and eventually Elena and her reporter friend, who, spoiler, gets killed by Lazarevich. And speaking of Lazarevich, like, what an improvement villain-wise, and with Flynn too, because Lazarevich is like the main villain, I would say, but Flynn is a villain in the story as well, and he was a lot of fun too. Like, it was kind of sad to see him betrayed, because I think if he didn't, or if the writers didn't make that decision to have him betray you, then there's a lot of just comedic potential and just a lot of fun that could have been had, like with the chemistry between I don't know the actor from his name, but him and Nolan, like, that would have been really fun to see. But still, what they did worked just incredibly. It worked really well, and I wasn't expecting it at all. Like, it just seemed like some old friends meeting up, and I don't think Nate knew Chloe at the beginning of the game, so new friends too. And it was kind of odd not having Elena and Sully there at the beginning. But, eventually Sully did show up. And Elena, though, she didn't show up for a while. So that was kind of odd for me. Excuse me. On my first run. But, I don't know. It's just from the beginning of the game, I was already really excited. And I heard great things about it, too. Like, most people, or at least a good amount of people, say that 2 was, like, their favorite or the best game in the series. I was like, wow, okay, I just finished the first game, which people say is the worst, and now I'm going on to the best. Like, I'm really excited, and man, it just cannot be overestimated how good this game is. Like, I just love it so much. It was so incredible. Like, from the beginning, when you're just like so battle damaged, and you're just sitting with blood all over your stomach and legs and hands in a train hanging off the end of a snowy cliff in the Himalayas. Like, it was so crazy just seeing how weak you were, but how you still pushed on, and just jumping, like platforming between the seats of the train car. Like, that was just cool to me. I don't know why. Man, just the cool camera angles they get when they're climbing stuff is really fun too. Like in Uncharted 3, I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but in Drake's Deception, when you're in the boat section, like when you're in the ocean with all those like that shipyard, and you're just climbing up the side of that one, and there are enemies just standing on wooden platforms above you, and they're shooting at you, and you have to hold on to the ledges and shoot at them. Like, the angles like that, that's really cool. But then Uncharted 2 just, man, it just kept on getting better, and crazier. Like, man, it's so, like, this series seems, from a glance and from trailers and stuff, it seems pretty grounded and pretty realistic, but then when you start playing Uncharted 1, it keeps that up for a while, and then you see some zombies by the end of it, and then Uncharted 2 is perfectly normal for a while, and then you see this weird abominable snowman Wendigo monster in the ice caverns with God, I forgot his name. I almost said Tinsel. With the guy from the village. You know who I'm talking about. You know, if you played Uncharted 2, the man with the hat that helps you fight the Wendigo. I'm sorry, wasting time here, but yeah, just man, the story was so fantastic. Like, with Uncharted 1, the story itself, like, the plot isn't really anything too crazy, special, or interesting. It's just fun, you know. The writing and the character interactions, the awesome chemistry all the actors have with each other, the performances, and, you know, all the gameplay and stuff. It's just fun. But with Uncharted 2, it's still fun. It has all of that, but it has even more because the story is so compelling and interesting. It's got so many twists and turns and ups and downs and circles, and man, it's just like a movie, but in the form of a game, and it's like it's perfect for that because it still has 10 out of 10 gameplay, but the story is just 10 out of 10, you know what I mean? Like, it fires on all cylinders in every regard. And with Uncharted 3, I heard somebody say once in the comment section of some Uncharted related YouTube video that Uncharted 2 is a better game, but Uncharted 3 would make a better movie. And after having finished Uncharted 3 very recently, I can definitely agree with that, because, like, especially, like, the worst thing about Uncharted 3 for me is the puzzles, and I never really like puzzles in games, but in Uncharted 3 they're so confusing and just obnoxious and just take forever if you try them yourself. Like, for every one I had to look it up on YouTube, with the exception of, like, the puzzle with the gears in the caves in the desert. The one with the gears, I figured that out, but the one with the shadows and the light you're holding where you have to stick it in the ground, I had to look that one up as well. Like, some of them or most of them on Uncharted 3, you just think, how did they expect you to figure this out without, like, a guide, or, you know, without YouTube, because, you know, we have YouTube nowadays. We don't need, like, a paper book guide, like, back in the day. So, but, yeah, so, like, those puzzles, you know, those would make some interesting scenes in, like, a movie, like an Indiana Jones type scene, because the two things I always compare Uncharted 2 is like Uncharted 2, not like Uncharted number 2, like the game. Like, I compare the series to is like Indiana Jones mixed with Mission Impossible kind of thing, and like that Indiana Jones aspect, like the puzzles on Uncharted 3 would make, like, interesting movie scenes, like, especially with the shadows, you know, that'd be cool watching it come together. But with it being a gameplay element and being so confusing, it just doesn't really work quite as well as it could in movie form, or quite as well as, other things do in Uncharted 2. And in Uncharted 2, just like the characters and the story and the environments are, oh my gosh, that is one of the best improvements probably from the first game. I know I just had a bit of an outburst there, but like, man, the first game, since I'm playing this on the Nathan Drake collection, I think you can understand when I say like it looks really nice. Like the colors are so vibrant, all the plants and everything, like so much nice green, water is so blue, and just everything, or most things are really nice. Like, there's a lot of brown in the more industrial areas or cave or ruins areas, but like the jungle, which is where you'll be spending a lot of your time, it looks really nice. And I just enjoyed, especially like with it being a PS3 game, or in the era of the 360 and the PS3, but only being released in the PS3. It just gave me a lot of nostalgia for staring at game cases of Batman Arkham City, or watching YouTube videos of the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 games, just with those graphics, but it still looks really nice. But with Uncharted 2, it's just like, it's way more visually varied because it's just way bigger. Like, you go to so many different places in Uncharted 2. Like, you go to like I mentioned, Hong Kong or India, like one of those. It's one of the two, I swear. But you go there, and you go to the Himalayas, and just go up in the mountains even further, and then by the end of the game, Shambhala, that looks so incredible. It looks so big and just beautiful. Like, that was my theme on my PS4 for a good few weeks, until I changed it to something from Uncharted 3. It's really cool that they have photo modes in the Nathan Drake collection too. I don't know if they did in the original games, but it's cool that they have that. Yeah, man, Uncharted 2 is just such a amazing improvement, and I finished it way faster than I wanted to. Like, I was so, like, I loved the game so much, but I was kind of annoyed because I finished it in only like 3 or 4 days. It normally takes longer for me to finish games because, I have school and stuff and homework, and it's just a lack of energy a lot of the time, just because, things have been rough. But, man, because I started it on a Saturday, I think, and I played it on Sunday, and I finished it on that following Monday or Tuesday. I think that's how it went. And, man, just... I played it for like 4 hours straight the first time, and then another 4 hours, and then another like 3 or 4. Like, I think that's a good estimate. And I just loved what I was doing so much. I just couldn't put it down. Like, I haven't been that genuinely addicted to a game and just been loving it that much in like a pretty long time at the time of me playing that game. Like, I think the last game I enjoyed in that way was like maybe Spider-Man PS4, because man, that is still one of my favorite games of all time. Like, that and Breath of the Wild are, like, I say it all the time, but those are like my 2 favorite games of all time. Like, they're so good, especially this hardcore Spider-Man fan. But this is a Spider-Man video, this is an Uncharted video, so we're gonna try to keep it on that. But yeah, but I finished it so fast. I just didn't want to finish it so fast. I just wanted to keep it going. I just wanted the game to keep going forever because I loved it so much. Like, it was so amazing. And just seeing what all the hype was about, like, it only took me, almost 12 years to get to it, but I'm here, and I loved it so much. It was so incredible. Like, it was so great. And on to Uncharted 3. So, Uncharted 3, overall, yeah, it's not as good as Uncharted 2. I think everybody says that, and I can definitely, after, having experienced it, I can definitely agree with that. But it's certainly not bad. Like, there are not great elements that are in the game, but it's definitely not a bad game. It's still a great game. It's better than the first game, definitely. But for me, like, the main issue is just the puzzles, because just drag on for so long, and they're just not really fun to me. Like, I'm not sure what the purpose of the puzzles are, or like in any game, really. I guess to make you think, so so you're not just brain dead or anything, but like, and to immerse you further, because Drake is gonna have to do puzzles to figure it out in the world of the game, so like it can make some interesting. It would be an interesting way to shake things up in the gameplay department, but like, I feel like they should still be fun and not just, they shouldn't anger the player or make the player feel bored or anything like that. And that's exactly what they did in Uncharted 3, which I don't think they even did, at least not to this extent, in the first game. And like, one of my complaints about Uncharted 3 is that it has incredible moments, like especially near the end of the game. Like, the more the game goes on, I think the better it gets. And just I just don't think it's quite as consistently incredible as Uncharted 2, because Uncharted 2, from the beginning to the end, it just hits you with amazing stuff and set pieces and locations and just emotional moments and just great stuff, like bang 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 bang, one after the other. It just never stops. It's just so great, and you just love every second of it. With Uncharted 3, at the beginning of the game, it doesn't start off with the train. It starts off with a bar fight, which is really fun and it's really cool, but it's not quite as like, oh my gosh, like we're already like, this is already insane, like out of the gate. It's just more just fun. And that scene and like the puzzles, those are two great examples of how Uncharted 3 would make a better movie than the game. Because like a bar fight, just a bar fight in a movie, that would be like traditional for a movie, but it would be a fun scene. And the puzzles would be interesting scenes too, to see how they unfold. They would be creatively designed, but you wouldn't have to figure out themselves, because you're not explorer like Drake, so you don't know how to figure this stuff out, so you have to look it up on YouTube, and you get really annoyed. And anyways, near the beginning of the game, there's a really nice flashback scene to young Nathan and young Sully, and they're in Colombia when they first met, and that was really cool. I felt like it went on like a little long. Like in Uncharted 4, they do something similar, but I think it's more fun there because you're less restricted with what you can do for like all of it. And I guess it's the fourth game in the series, so like, okay, you know what to do, just go this place and go find Sam. But like with Uncharted 3, like that, that's another thing where it just make a better movie than a game, because that would just make a good quick little movie scene, and could start off like, that could be the very beginning of the movie, and then right after that, it could transition to Nate and Sully going to the bar. Like after they like walk out of the restaurant they're in Colombia, then it fades to black, and then it says like however many years later it's been, and it's them walking in the alleyway into the bar, and then they go and make the deal they're trying to make. But once I reached that puzzle in Uncharted 3, around the time when you first get to the desert and you fall into not fall, but you go down deep into the ground, and you have to put your hands inside these little pillars in the ground. That was so confusing and just annoying. And after having played the game for a few hours that day, and there being like puzzles I had already gone through and had to search on the internet because they were just so confusing and tiring, I just couldn't take any more, and I just put the game down and didn't play it for like around a week. And that's longer than it took me to complete Uncharted 2. I just didn't have it in me to go back, because I just couldn't. I just didn't want to do any other puzzles. And I already mentioned earlier that because of the unique circumstances we're in right now, being at home and everything, and not seeing as many people as I used to, and just I just have a lack of energy compared to how things used to be. And that just means like less time I'm willing to spend on something like I'm not watching as many movies as I might have been. Like, so I'm just not quite as willing to make like timely commitments to things like watching a movie quite as often as I would be, or watching a show even with other people at least. But so with Uncharted 3, just having a puzzle, at least with a movie, I would probably enjoy it once I started it. It's just like, just difficult, like getting out of bed in the morning. But with Uncharted 3, for something I know I don't enjoy, being the puzzles, and having to, build up my energy and just go back in there and do it and just look it up on YouTube and go back to the game and, okay, do this step and then go back to it. Just was mentally draining to think about, and I knew it would be draining to do. But I just thought to myself after, taking that break, I was like, oh, okay, you know you love this series, and you know that this is a good game. It's been good. Puzzles are a temporary thing. It gets better. Uncharted 4, you've heard great things about that one, so you just need to power through this. You need to get through this. It's just a puzzle, and you've taken a break already. So I did that puzzle. I did the shadow puzzle with the help of the internet. I did the gear puzzle all by myself. I was proud of that. And then, after that, just got to the shipwreck area a little after. That was just incredible. Like, all those waves, it seemed like a tsunami that came at you in one part. And then just fighting all those enemies, that was pretty tiring. But, and then getting on that giant yacht ship and just having it twist and turn, you having to run on the ceilings and walls because how the ship was turning and it was sinking into the ocean, and having the ship get flooded and you having to like open the doors and climb them and climb all the furniture and appliances in the rooms and stuff. Like, that was incredible. And then after that, like almost right after that, the plane scene. And that was insane. That was so cool. That was incredible. And then, like, going through the desert, like, those scenes were so well constructed. Like, that was when it would make an amazing movie, but it also makes an amazing game, just like Uncharted 2. That, the plane, and the ship, and the village, and that part where you're riding the horses, and jumping between the horses and the cars when you're trying to rescue Sully, and taking out the guys on horseback, and that was just incredible. That was so cool. Like, those are the parts where it's like Uncharted 2, and it's like, just, it would make a great movie, yeah, but it's a game, and it feels like it should be a game because it does its job just so well. Like, that, it hit that high again there. And then at the end, that was crazy when you were fighting those, what was it, the Jinn? I don't know if that was actually those like the fire demons who were fighting, the teleporting fire demons. That was really interesting. And then, you escape the place, and at the end, Nate presumably goes off to get married with the lamb, which you later find out that, yeah, that's what happens. And then on to Uncharted 4. And, obviously I said earlier, I haven't completed Uncharted 4 yet, but so far, it's already just incredible. Like, there have been no just annoying puzzles. At least, I don't even recall any puzzles that I've had to do, if there have been any. I don't think there have been any. So that, maybe that's one of the reasons I like it so much. I don't know. But, yeah, it's been great. Like, the opening scene with young Nate and young Sam, like, I enjoyed that more than the one in Uncharted 3. And the prison escape scene, man, that, like, the whole prison sequence in general, that was really fun. And, like, fun fact, I don't know if you really, this is really a fun fact, but, that, scene where you're going up to the broken castle near the ocean at the beginning of Uncharted 4 in the prison, that is, like, the first bit of the series, like, gameplay I'd ever seen in the series. Like, that was the first thing I watched in this whole series. And then I think I left that alone for a while and then came back to it a few weeks or months later, and then I got into it. But yeah, so that was just really cool to come back to and seeing how things had come full circle a bit. And that intro where it's like the hand drawn animation, and it recaps the events of the previous 3 games without any dialogue. That was really cool. I really love that. And the new version of Nate's theme, like, it's so beautiful. Like, the old version was amazing already, but like this version really sounds like a finale. It sounds like emotional. It sounds like, you can make an awesome video or trailers like that 10 years of Uncharted video on PlayStation's YouTube channel, like the official one. That just, like, the music is so good. And then when Sam, quote unquote, dies in the prison escape scene, that really hit me in the feels. And like, that was such a great sequence. Like, this is like Uncharted 2 again, and like Uncharted 3 at its best. Because, like I said before, when it would, make a great movie, but it makes a great game also. Like, it's going at full force in the medium that it's choosing to be in, just like it would in the medium it would be great in, if that made sense. So, yeah, like, at the prison escape when Sam dies, and then quote unquote dies, because he's not that spoiler, and then you just go and jump into the ocean, and you hit the water, and the screen goes black, and then the intro, like, if that was like an Avengers movie and they played something, everybody would be just screaming, hollering, clapping, But yeah, it's just so good. And then seeing Nate and Elena together was really nice because, after being on and off for 3 games, which I didn't expect them to be, I thought they would be together by the second game, but Elena was nowhere to be found for the first third or half of the game, and then she showed up, and then she was gone at the beginning of Uncharted 3, and then she showed up later, and then by the end of that game, they were like, okay, let's do it. So, yeah, it was nice to see them finally together. Emily Rose's acting, like, seriously improved by Uncharted 4. Like, she wasn't bad by any means in the previous games, but she was probably the weakest for me. I just don't feel like it was quite as strong as the other characters or actors, like Nate or Sully or Chloe or Flynn or Lazarevich or anyone. I don't think it was quite on the same level, but she really, it was really good. Like, in the scene where we're on the couch, like, playing Crash Bandicoot, that was so cool. I know Crash was originally owned by Naughty Dog, but I really wasn't expecting that. Like, that came out of nowhere. It was so cool. Playing on the PS1 and everything. It was so funny holding a DualShock 4 in my hands while staring at Nathan Drake holding the original DualShock in his hands. Like, that was really cool. That was really fun. Yeah, that was really cool. And then the auction, I just got past the auction. Where I'm at right now, I'm in Scotland. That's where I left off a few hours ago. And yeah, where you're in the snow and stuff and fighting enemies. Like, I got to a combat sequence before I called it quits for today. But yeah, man, Uncharted 4 is already, like, it's already so amazing. It's already been, like, consistently great, like Uncharted 2, so I'm hoping it keeps that up, because Uncharted 3, it just had trouble with the consistency and, I guess, pacing. Like, it felt a little off, but when it was at its best, it was on the same level as Uncharted 2 at its best, which was, the whole game, basically, because that game was just so well crafted. But yeah, man, wow, this video's way longer than my Kingdom Hearts video. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Uncharted series so far. I can't wait to finish. I can't wait to finish Uncharted 4, but I really just don't want to. Also, because I don't want it to end, even though it ended almost 5 years ago, not counting Lost Legacy, because that's a spin-off and just for the sake of the argument. But yeah, and yeah, I'll probably play Lost Legacy someday too. But just, it won't be the same because it won't be Nate and Elena and Sully. Meh. But, yeah, from what I've heard, this game is a bit longer than the other ones, which I really hope is true, and I hope I don't speed through it as much as Uncharted 2, because, like, I just love these games so much, I want to play them for hours, day after day, and that just, the game just ends in only a few days, and I hope that, this one goes on for a bit longer. And from that's what I've heard. It's a bit longer, so I really hope that's true because it's been consistently great so far, like Uncharted 2. And if it keeps that up, then it'll be great for longer. So it'll just be more amazing Uncharted for me to sink my teeth into. So I just can't wait for more, but I don't want it to end. But yeah, those are my thoughts so far. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you all are doing well. Thank you for getting me to 8.2 thousand subscribers. That's really um surreal. That's really cool though, and I'm really grateful for all of you here. So thank you, and it's just yeah, I'm glad you guys are enjoying what I'm putting out, and I'm glad I get to interact with you guys the way I do, and I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it just as much as I am. I'm glad I have people to share it with. I'm glad I have you guys to not only just, be watching my stuff and enjoying it, but just to talk to. It's really nice, and I really need that. So just thank you for everything. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. So peace out.